This is JPost Sits Down With. And in today's episode, we sit down with Loomer, an American right-wing activist and investigative journalist.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
So welcome to Israel.
Thank you.
You haven't been here since 2019.
Yeah, it's my first time back. It's my fifth time in Israel, but It's my first time back since 2019, and especially my first time back since October 7th.
So what's changed?
Well, a lot. It seems
it's
like...
It's interesting to hear from your perspective because, we live here, So, we see certain things, but looking at it from a glance, it may be interesting.
Last time I was here was right before I ran for Congress in 2019, so for the 2020 election year. And, I ran for Congress in the most Jewish district in the country, which happens to be Florida 21. It's the Mar-a-Lago district in Palm Beach, Florida. And, I was just here for a few days back in 2019. But I guess a lot has really changed with Israel standing in the world since October 7th. It's been very disturbing to watch what I call the global rise of Jew hatred and a tolerance for Islamic terrorism. And we're experiencing this here in the United States of America, where we just had elections last night. It was a total bloodbath for the Republican Party. And we saw candidates across the country who have open ties to Islamic terrorist organizations. They're communists, they're anti-American, and especially anti-Jewish, anti-white, all around.
So you've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, I've been talking about it for a while. And now...
But do you feel like, are people coming up to you and saying, okay, wait, maybe you're onto something? Like those who are we're not convinced. Are people being more convinced now, after the election results yesterday, whether New York or other places?
Well, I think that there's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of propaganda, and it's obviously...
On all sides, though.
On all sides.
Yeah.
I think that there's a big problem with foreign influence operations on both sides of the aisle, where you have kind of these inorganic responses from people on the right and the left who had drastically different views on Israel a few months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, especially before October 7th. And now these same people seem to only want to talk about Israel. I mean, there's, obviously I'm pro-Israel, right? But America's a separate country. Israel's its own country too. Mm-hmm. We're not attached at the hip. I'm pro-Israel, but obviously as an American, I put my country first.
So America first?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm an America first Republican.
Yeah.
But being America first doesn't mean that you have to be completely isolationist and anti-Israel.
Right.
But now there's this new movement on the right in the United States to say that to be America first means you have to be completely anti-Israel. And for me, I've always considered myself to be a Zionist. I believe Israel has a right to exist. And I'm not the most religious Jew, but I don't think that you have to be the most religious Jew to know that Israel belongs to the Jews and the Jewish people deserve a homeland.
Yeah.
And so I think it's in everybody's best interest, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, whether you're even if you aren't necessarily the most religious Jew or even the most religious Christian. At the end of the day, it's the Holy Land. And it doesn't matter if you're pro-Israel or not. You should have an interest in wanting to preserve the Holy Land, especially if you're one of these so-called Christian nationalists, as they call themselves, right? If they want to be Christian nationalists, that's their right to do so. We have a right to free speech and freedom of association in the United States.
Did you support the American attack in Iran?
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a matter of our national
right thing
security.
To do. Yeah.
I voted for President Trump. President Trump always said Iran can never have a nuclear weapon.
But people like
Tucker
Carlson and that wing of the party, very vocal against it.
Right. But Tucker Carlson also has had a drastic shift ever since he started going to Qatar and his name started popping up in FARA records, being tied to Qatar, being tied to Iran. After leaving Fox News, he seems to have had an infusion of Arab money into his media company, the Tucker Carlson Network. And now his views have completely changed. If you go back and you watch previous clips of him from just a couple of years ago, when he was on Fox News, he used to say things like the Iranian regime is the most evil regime in the world. It needs to be blown off. Yeah. He said it needs to be blown off the face of the earth.
Would love to meet with.
He used to say that it was an issue of
leader.
moral clarity and supporting Israel because obviously it was good versus evil. Good Israel combating Hamas, a terrorist organization. And now what I'm saying about all this paid propaganda is it appears that a lot of people are either being paid by foreign governments. And look, you even have this issue with Israel. I'm pro-Israel, but I don't think that Israel necessarily is doing themselves any favors by trying to recruit American influencers to speak out about them and post on their behalf. Right. They have to have voices from their own country.
Right.
Because this is part of the PR issue right now. And as a supporter of Israel...
By the way, a lot of these people are already supporting Israel, like a lot of these influencers, right? So
but there's something that is
You're saying it needs to be more authentic.
There's something off-putting.
Okay.
Right? When you're talking about the PR war.
Yeah.
And I think that even as a supporter of Israel, I think Israel's losing the PR war, not necessarily because they deserve it, but because you have a manipulation of social media, foreign influence operations. They've already discovered bot networks paid for by China and Qatar, running anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian propaganda. And so if you have people who are impressionable, young, getting bombarded with 1 million messages on TikTok every single day. Van Jones said it pretty well, and he's a leftist, but then he apologized for what he said, even though what he said is spot on. It's like you're scrolling on TikTok, and it's like, free Gaza, free
hungry,
Palestine, dead baby, dead Gaza baby. And he said it and he was laughing about it, saying, it's ridiculous because that's how they're programming the algorithm. And then, of course, they tried to slam him and say that what he said was insensitive. But he's right. I mean, every time, and I was just telling people I know this today, anytime I log on Twitter, every single post is Israel, the Jews, Israel, the Jews.
Right, no matter what you post.
It doesn't matter what you post. And it never used
could
to
be about
this
your
way.
nails.
It could be about your nails. I could post a photo of my dog, and I get bombarded with messages like, say, you're an Israel first kike. Oh, you're an Israel first Jew. Burn in hell, Jew. Or repent, accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Like, it doesn't matter what I post about, even if I'm just posting about the weather, or my dog, getting off a plane, whatever it may be. There's clearly an influence operation going on. And eventually that's going to impact the way people perceive Israel.
Right. But do you think that...
yeah. Can you make sure that your phones are on silent? I hear
I think it's yours.
Oh, it's mine? No, mine's on airplane mode, I think.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'll move out of the way, but just make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
You can continue, sorry.
So, but do you think the Tuckers of the world, are they marginal? Or are they becoming more... Because they're definitely...
Well, he's obviously mainstream. There's no denying that he's mainstream. Even though he left Fox News, he still has one of the largest platforms. I mean, he and Candace Owens and others have some of the largest podcasts on the right in the country and the world. And so there's no denying the scale of their influence. I'm not going to be one of these people that says, this person is irrelevant just because I don't necessarily like them. They're obviously relevant, and they obviously have a large following, and that's one of the big issues, is that the information that they're pushing out is inaccurate. So, for example, I logged on to X yesterday, and I saw a video of Candace Owens interviewing Norm Finkelstein, who's a notorious Jew hater.
Okay.
And they open up the interview by saying that there's absolutely zero evidence of any woman getting sexually assaulted or raped by Hamas on October 7th, which is completely false, because in my time here in Israel, I, went to the various October 7th sites, and I was escorted by, members of the IDF who responded to October 7th that day, and they showed me photos on the iPad, internal photos that have never been released, and one of the photos I saw was a dead woman, unfortunately, and her legs, like the middle of her legs, the opening of her legs were covered in cuts and blood. Like, obviously, she was raped. And they raped her in a very brutal manner. They raped women sexually. They also raped women with knives, very barbaric ways of raping people, to the point where, we have the videos of all of the female IDF soldiers getting captured. Yeah. And blood is running down the back of their pants. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that blood is because they were raped, right? And they talk about how on video, this is the woman that can get pregnant. There's a ton of evidence of women getting sexually assaulted and abused. But, paying influencers to say, women were actually raped on October 7th isn't going to counter somebody with 5 million followers who is also getting supported by bot networks online.
So in the past weekend, I was in Vegas at the Republican Jewish Coalition, and the two most popular words there were Tucker and Mamdani, right? So basically two, I would say, villains or whatever, right? Because, that part of the party is, as you said, you're Zionist, pro-Israel. It could be America first, and there are different ways to interpret it. But so do you think that there's going to be more of them?
Well, they're certainly indoctrinating a lot of people. I mean, you saw in New York City, there was record voter turnout, the most voter turnout since 1969.
Yeah.
According to reports I saw today. And you have to also understand
Which is a good day
that
for democracy, but not for the Jews.
I don't know. I don't really know if it's a good day for democracy, because is it a good day for democracy when demographics are your destiny?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good day for democracy when New York City, 24 years after 9/11, has 1 million Muslims? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's good that after half a generation, New York City has been taken over by the same type of jihadists who were dancing and cheering in New York City and New Jersey the day of 9/11 24 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good day for democracy. We have problems with illegal immigration.
Can you categorize all of those Muslims as the same?
Well, I think we need to be honest about the Islamic ideology. I do. I think that we need to be honest about the fact that Islam is a very archaic, barbaric ideology that calls for the killing of Jews and Christians. And I don't think that Israel does themselves any favors.
Christianity also had that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's
right. And we're seeing it get weaponized. We're seeing it get weaponized right now. There is an effort on the right now to demonize evangelical Christians who are allies of the Jewish people in the state of Israel, to tell evangelical Christians that they're fake Christians.
Wow. Okay.
To tell them that they are fake Christians.
Right.
If they believe what their Bible tells them.
Mm-hmm.
That those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. And you don't have to be a super religious person to understand that there is an effort right now to push a revisionist interpretation of the Bible. Now, there's been arguments had by people like Tucker Carlson and others about whether or not they meant the government of Israel or the state of Israel in terms of the land, and that the government of Israel wasn't necessarily established at the time that the scripture was written.
Yeah. Okay.
But at the same time, I think we can all admit that this is no longer just a debate about policy regarding Israel and America's funding of Israel. The rhetoric has become anti-Semitic. It is, and I don't even like to use the word anti-Semitic, because we saw in Mamdani's speech, he says he's going to crack down on anti-Semitism. Now you have this effort by the Muslim community to co-opt the term anti-Semitism to say that the real Semites are Muslims. So I encourage everybody to stop using the word anti-Semitism and to instead use the word Jew hate, because that's what it is. It's not anti-Semitism, it's Jew hate. Mm-hmm. It's Jew hate. And I don't think that we do ourselves any favors when we allow for groups, whether it's the radical left or it's, the Muslim community, to hijack our terminology to dilute movements. Mm-hmm. And look, I don't think that we can say that all criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. I think that I personally think that AIPAC should register with FARA. I do. I would say that about the Qataris. I would say that about China.
But their money is not coming from Israel.
But they're lobbying on behalf of a foreign government.
Right, but their funding comes from America.
Right, but if you're lobbying on behalf of a foreign government, that's why you register with FARA. Mm-hmm. And so think of how many conspiracy theories are created in America.
So you're saying just like in order for there not to be conspiracy theories, just
register with FARA. What's the big deal? Like, if you're lobbying because you want people in America to have a relationship with Israel while being America first, but to recognize that Israel's our ally. The Qataris are registered. Sometimes they're not registered. I think the Qatari lobby is much larger than the Israeli lobby, for sure.
Yeah.
Substantially larger.
Yeah.
Sometimes they register, sometimes they don't. But by not registering with FARA, it allows for Israel to continue to be a scapegoat. Oh, they're buying up our politicians. Oh, they're interfering in our elections.
Okay, so let me go back to the Muslims for a second. So there are moderate Muslims, and there are moderate Muslim countries.
Well, I think it's debatable.
Like Israel has a really good relationship with the UAE, which has lasted October 7th, which is surprising.
Yeah, but I think that there really isn't a moderate form of Islam. If you read the Quran, it's very clear what Islam says. And we have to be honest about what Islam calls for. Islam says that if you interpret the Quran and you are trying to reinterpret the Quran or reform the Quran, it's a form of apostasy. Mm-hmm. So you can be charged with Islamic blasphemy and it's punishable by death. So what is a moderate Muslim?
There are those who are secular, or who are traditional.
But are they really Muslim then? I mean, because you... But it's not really like a heritage like being Jewish, right? Like being Jewish is officially classified as as an ethnicity now.
Right.
If you're Jewish, you can be ethnically Jewish. You can be an atheist and be ethnically Jewish. You
Right.
can be an atheist and be a Jew at the same time. It's true. You can.
Yeah.
You can be an atheist and you can be a Jew. You can't be an atheist and a Muslim. There's no such thing as Islam is not a race, right? So if you're going to call yourself a Muslim, Jewish people are really the only people. Like when you're comparing religions.
Do you visit? So I assume you don't visit any Muslim countries.
I've been to the UAE.
Okay.
I didn't really
And what was your
enjoy it.
experience?
I mean, when I got off the airplane, I was wearing a Star of David. I was asked to take my Star of David off as soon as I went through security.
But when was this?
This was in 2017, maybe 2018.
Okay.
2017,
So it's
2018.
like
before the
Abraham
Abraham Accords. But I do praise the UAE for cracking down. I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day about Muslim countries that, because I was been very critical of the Trump administration entertaining relations with Qatar, especially since all the bodies of the hostages have not been released yet, and Hamas is playing games. And look, I think it's wildly inappropriate that the leaders of Hamas all have penthouses in Doha, and the Qataris and the Emir of Qatar is protecting, right? He's protecting Hamas leadership. And when Israel wanted to strike Qatar and kill and take out the Hamas leadership, it was the Qatari royal family that alerted the members of Hamas, and they were able to escape. And then they tried to pressure. Then they tried to pressure.
Who told them?
Well, that's the point, right?
The
A lot of
Americans
people
did.
believe that it's
No, I'm
the
saying
Americans.
the Americans. Yeah.
Yes, the Americans. But that's my point. Is why do we have this relationship in America with Qatar? Why? We have a military base there. Qatar is funding Hamas. For 2 years, you mean to tell me that the royal family of Qatar couldn't pressure the leadership of Hamas to release? And look, I know they had people from Thailand, they had people from Israel, they had people from America. But if you have a military base, you're not even going to prioritize the Americans?
Yeah. Interesting.
They killed Americans. So I don't consider Qatar to be our ally. I don't. I don't consider Qatar to be a moderate Muslim country. It doesn't matter how many times, President Trump goes to Qatar. It doesn't matter, how many gifts they give U.S. politicians or how many nice parties they throw and at their embassy in Washington, D.C. At the end of the day, President Trump said it himself, Qatar is one of the largest sponsors of global terrorism. And it hasn't changed.
So why does he treat them like royalty?
It's a good question.
I don't know. You're the one who's
Look, I've made the press in the United States for being very critical of the Trump administration's approach to Qatar.
Okay.
It's a good question.
Yeah. Okay.
And I certainly think that if people are going to be critical of the U.S. relationship with Israel, there's a lot more concerning relationships like China and Qatar.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that Israel should be
Israel's a
the
democracy,
focus,
right?
the focus of everybody's ire, but it is. I mean, when you talk about no foreign interference, there definitely is a bias towards Israel. For example, when they talked about having the peace coordinators from the United States partnering with people like Tony Blair to come in and oversee the U.S. rebuild of Gaza, the big question to the Trump administration in the press room was, are you going to have boots on the ground in Gaza? No boots on the ground in Gaza, but obviously there are going to be boots on the ground in Gaza, because how do you have officials from the United States overseeing the
so
peace process?
there's like this base, right?
Right.
Southern
So technically
Israel,
that is boots on the ground in Gaza.
Right.
You can spin the semantics all you want, but people criticize.
Near
I
Gaza.
don't want to die for Israel. Right. That's the new meme on the right. But I don't want to die for Qatar. And we just signed a defense agreement with Qatar, saying that we will go to war for Qatar. We're going to go to war for Qatar.
What do you think of Saudi Arabia?
Look, I'm not really a fan of any of these Islamic countries. I'll be honest with you. I'm very anti-Islam. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm very anti-Islam. I openly speak about how I don't want Muslims serving in the United States Congress. I'm very against Muslims serving and holding elected office in America, and I get called an Islamophobe. I think Islamophobia is fake. I see a lot of members of Congress have openly said now in the recent weeks they think that Islamophobia is fake. It's used as a way to bully people into not speaking out about the Islamification of America, what's happening in Europe, stuff that President Trump himself originally campaigned on when he first ran for president in 2016. So I'm not going to censor myself. But I will say it
You
is
definitely
very
haven't been
interesting.
censoring yourself.
I will say I admire the Saudis and I admire the Emiratis for designating the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization.
That's a big deal.
And I think that it's a bad look for the United States of America that the United States still has not, to this day, designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization.
So back to New York. I'm sure you have many people, many friends, family. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I used to live in New York, and I left in 2017, and
What are they saying?
it's a disaster. I mean, this morning, I went for a hike. I hiked Masada, and I met this random family up there from New Jersey and New York, and they were all just talking about how Mamdani won and is a disaster. Everybody I know thinks it's going to be a disaster. You have an open communist.
Right.
You have an open terror supporter, and yes, he is. It's not a conspiracy theory. He's been campaigning with
globalize the Intifada.
Intifada. He denies it. Yeah,
we're all targets, right?
Kill the Jews. I mean, it's very simple. Kill the Jews, take over Israel, conquer Jerusalem. You have, I mean, just.
It's interesting. I was speaking about this a lot today because Israelis are very curious about this, and then I was saying how every mayor since I remember in New York would walk at the head of the Israel parade. Right? Like that's like a consensus. It's part of being the mayor of New York. It's once a year you'll like walk. That's not going to happen. You know? Like they're not going to invite him, and he wouldn't even consider it because I mean he pretty much doesn't see the right for Israel to exist.
Yes, and now there's this idea in the United States that being America first means hating Israel, but it's the only country that they apply that same logic to. So, for example,
hey, what about Sudan?
We are criticized. Well, I was just going to say that. So,
yeah.
Christians being persecuted.
You say it.
Christians being persecuted.
Yeah.
Christians being persecuted is a big issue.
Yeah.
I've been critical of it. Obviously, President Trump has also been very critical of it. Outspoken. It's not the Jews that are killing the Christians in Nigeria. I think we all know who's killing the Christians in Sudan and Nigeria. It's Muslims. It always is. It always has been. And, well, they're the people that are committing the actual genocides. I just spent the day yesterday in Maj al-Shams meeting with members of the Druze community, speaking to them about how, President Trump is going to be hosting Jolani at the White House next week for a meeting, and yet Jolani is killing the Druze. He's killing the Druze, and he's killing the Alawites, and he's killing the Christians. And so you have the administration, which I support. I fully support President Trump, but
not fully. I would say you support on what you
I fully
believe in.
Support President Trump. I don't necessarily agree with all the foreign policy decisions.
Okay.
I don't think that it's beneficial for the United States at all. I mean, I know that President Trump is trying to focus on the Abraham Accords and bringing more countries into the Abraham Accords, but you cannot have peace with a bloodthirsty jihadist. And what good does it?
You're talking about Syria now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's a terrorist. He's
an
ISIS
spoke about
terrorist.
Abraham Accords, right? Yeah. But
there's this idea that Jolani is going to agree to have relations with Israel.
It's interesting. The world really
they're going to
wants,
open up a corridor.
The world wants to believe that something has changed. It's like,
nothing has changed.
It's like forcing.
It's like putting lipstick on a pig. That's what we say in the United States. We have this phrase. You put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig.
Yeah.
So it's like
Muslims don't eat pigs, though.
It's like putting a suit on a jihadist. A jihadi in a suit is still a jihadi, right? A Muslim terrorist in a suit is still a Muslim terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
So they can change his name from, al-Shara to from Abu Muhammad al-Jolani to al-Shara, which al-Shara, it's interesting because the translation literally means to legitimize. So they're not even hiding the fact, they're like literally mocking you when they call him al-Shara.
Mm-hmm.
His name is not al-Shara.
Right.
His name is Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, and he was a wanted terrorist by the United States government.
And Jolani is the Golan Heights, which President Trump recognized as part of Israel.
So he's ISIS, and I don't think that the president of the United States is going to benefit from having this relationship with Syria. It might make Saudi Arabia happy because MBS invited President Trump to Saudi Arabia, and then he met with Jolani while he was in Saudi Arabia at the behest of MBS. But I don't necessarily think that it's actually going to provide us with anything. I don't think that it's going to benefit.
Can it
ISIS is still threatening to attack Americans. We just had 2 members of ISIS arrested in Michigan the other day. ISIS came out with a statement last night endorsing Zoran Mamdani.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the problem.
That's a big deal.
That's a huge problem. It's a big problem. And
he's been supported by CARE, which is a very problematic organization.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've sued CARE. I'm not allowed to speak about CARE because I literally have a gag order. I have a gag order. I'm not allowed to speak about CARE. And so, the judge ordered me to pay their attorney's fees after I sued them for lobbying Twitter to ban me. But yeah, look, he was bankrolled by CARE. It's true.
Wow. So you're very supportive of the administration. You're a Republican. Did you want any roles in this administration?
Yeah, I mean, look, President Trump hired me multiple times to work for him, and it was a big point of contention because the media went ballistic when he hired me in the first for his campaign the second time around. And there was a big story in the New York Times about, President Trump wants to hire anti-Muslim activist Laura Loomer. And, the same thing happened when he hired me to come work for his presidential, administration. So it's a big problem because you have gatekeepers and you have people that think that they know better than the president of the United States, professional jealousy, trying to undermine him. And then you also have some people in the administration who hate Israel. And they don't want anybody near the president who, I wouldn't necessarily, my motivations are pro-Israel. I am pro-Israel. My motivations are protecting our country. But even when I'm speaking about America first, and I always am, I'm not Israeli. Everything I do is America first. I support Israel, but I am America first. Anytime I say anything about Hamas, they say, oh, it's Israel first. Well, how is it Israel first when we have members of Hamas in our country? We have members of Hamas in Congress. A supporter of Hamas just became the mayor of New York City. I just identified a Gazan medic who was brought into the United States and giving naturalized citizenship, who has family members in Gaza who openly support Hamas. And they just tried to evacuate his family to the United States. So how is that Israel first when I'm speaking about people who are actually within our own country?
So you don't have a specific role now, though.
I don't.
You were involved, I think, with immigration.
No, I speak out, obviously, and the president listens to me, and the president oftentimes will take my advice. But no, I don't work officially for the Trump administration.
Okay. Is it could it happen? You think
it
will happen?
Could. Yeah, it absolutely could happen.
What's your dream job?
I would love to be a senior advisor to the president, assisting with policy and assisting with opposition research as well. I would like to work in the office of PPO, helping hire people, helping to make sure that President Trump has the best advisors around him, and making sure that people actually check out and that they are who they say they are.
So we were just talking about this before, how someone on our desk was writing a story about Laura Loomer. I was like, oh, she's coming in, about the Pentagon. So basically, if I understand correctly, so Pete Hegseth, now it's called the
Department of War,
and he's the War Secretary.
Yep, Secretary of War.
Yeah, so he was against you being on the pool of...
No, he was supportive.
Oh, he was supportive?
Yeah,
okay.
He was supportive. The media was
wanted to portray it as such.
The media said that I was against Pete Hegseth because I criticized his meeting with the Qataris when they announced the joint base.
Okay.
But I'm not going to sit back and be quiet about terrorist infiltration of U.S. air bases. I'm just not. So I was critical.
So it's a case-to-case basis.
But Pete Hegseth likes me. He respects me. And I think it's a testament to how accurate my reporting is and how impactful it is that the Department of War, even after I was critical of the administration and their dealings with Qatar, I was given a Pentagon press pass. So now I'm going to be able to work with the Pentagon press corps.
So why is it such a big deal? I'm trying to understand. I'm here in Israel.
Qatar Air Base?
No. Why is it such a big deal that you're...
Because the Pentagon now has a very selective process for allowing people inside the building because of leakers and people who have tried to undermine the Pentagon with fake news. Speaking to leakers, when you get access to the Pentagon, you have access to the building.
During the Biden administration...
there's a lot of classified information.
The amount of leaks.
Exactly. And so they made
huge.
people sign a pledge. They made people sign a pledge that they weren't going to be publishing classified information.
That should be...
Which should be, a no-brainer. And a lot of the members of the press said, oh, this is a violation of my press freedom. And so they said no. And their statuses were revoked.
Because in Israel, so it's interesting, in Israel, the IDF spokesperson's unit is the largest, I would say, PR body, whatever, in Israel. Hundreds or thousands of people who are working in this field. And there's a category, it's called Katzim, Katavim Tzvaim, being reporters that cover the military. Then they have extra access to certain things. Okay, so every news outlet, so we have someone, Yonah Jeremy Bob, he has access to certain things that other journalists won't have, but it also comes with responsibility, right? If you are a law-abiding citizen and you care about your country, there are certain things, You know, and by the way, in any
you have
part
to-
of journalism, right?
You have to be careful. You have to be ethical. I mean, look, even after Snowden, after Snowden released information, it got people killed.
Right.
It got people killed.
Yeah.
So people said, "Oh, he's a hero," but then there's other people who say he's a traitor. And look, his actions did get people killed. It got service members killed. People whose identities were supposed to be protected. I know some of these people personally. I know somebody who worked with individuals who were unmasked by Snowden, and they were killed. 27 of them.
Wow. You know 27 of them.
No, I know an individual who worked with them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He told me that 27 of them were killed as a direct result of information that was not supposed to be released to the public being released.
What are you interested in writing about with the Pentagon?
Well, there's a lot of infiltration. I just broke a story the other day about a Navy medic who came in from Gaza, and they gave him a naturalized citizenship less than 1 year after arriving from Gaza. And he has family members who are pro-Hamas. And so you have a member of the Navy who is actively trying to use his position in the Navy to recruit his family members back to the United States from Gaza. And so I'm interested in reporting on the vetting crisis and identifying bad actors and people who are anti-American serving in the Department of War.
Mm-hmm. Which should also be something like a basis to accepting someone to do a job in such a sensitive place, right? Like,
you would think so.
Yeah.
You would think so.
Okay.
But common sense isn't so common all the time.
Where's America heading? Like we saw with Zoran Mamdani. That's definitely an indication on what's going on
it's
in
definitely not a good
the
situation.
Democratic Party.
Definitely not a good situation. I don't think that the country is headed anywhere good right now. I mean, we have President Trump, who's doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion. However, right, Trump is not going to be running in 2028, despite what Steve Bannon says constantly. Trump is not running in 2028. He's already been very clear about that. And so right now what we're witnessing a power struggle between the woke right, this new coalition of so-called people on the right who actually are very anti-Trump, and a lot of them are very anti-American, even though they pretend to be pro-America. A lot of these people are pro-Islamist, but they like to say that they are the leaders of America first. And then you have the neocons, and there's just a power struggle between these individuals who are trying to decide like what is going to be the future of MAGA. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people push for the right to be inherently anti-Jewish. I don't even want to say anti-Israel, because this is no longer just about how much aid Israel is getting. If we should reduce aid to, it's about the Jews. It's about the Jews, because, I mean, you see constantly, time and time again, how they clearly have no concern for Qatari influence. They have no concern for Chinese influence. They only want to talk about Israel's
And you don't see people on
influence.
campuses demonstrating for the people of Sudan, right?
No,
like,
you don't. You don't. But that's my point, is that they'll say things like, I don't want troops on the ground in Gaza, but we're going to send troops to Nigeria to go kill Christians. So how is that America first? Look, I support Christians, right? But if you're going to be critical of Israel, and you're going to say that Israel is a waste of our taxpayer money, and that we can't support Israel because of this, and Israel had it coming, blah, 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 whatever it may be, right? Every day I'm inundated with a new talking point from these people. Then the same logic should be applied to Nigeria and Sudan and any other country that the U.S. is going to be getting involved in. Because if you truly are an anti-interventionist and you want to be an isolationist, then apply it to everybody. But you notice that they don't ever talk about these issues. They claim to be Christians. That's their whole thing, is that they think they're morally superior to everybody, whether you're a Jew, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a Hindu, whatever it may be. And that's not how it's supposed to work in the United States of America. Yes, America is a Christian country, and yes, we have freedom of religion. But at the same time, we also have separation of church and state. We do.
Yeah.
And that's done for a reason, to make sure that we don't have a theocracy.
Yeah.
That's not what America was intended to be.
J.D. Vance, where would you put him on the scale of...
I would say that J.D. Vance is the front runner, but I think that he is jeopardizing his 2028 run for president by continuing to associate with Tucker Carlson. And I've said this before also, by continuing to employ Tucker Carlson's son, who serves as his deputy press secretary.
Even though, like,
and I know
are we
that
exactly like our parents, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
no,
I don't know the son,
we are
but, like,
not exactly like our parents, and I admire JD for being loyal to the people that he wants to be loyal.
Okay.
And I've had disagreements with JD about this. I really do like JD a lot, but it's not like Tucker Carlson is staying in his lane and his son is simply doing his job and everything's fine. his father, right, is becoming the center of attention right now.
Of the party.
And is becoming a detriment to MAGA, openly running his mouth. And so it becomes a little bit of a distraction. And you don't necessarily get to enjoy the same luxuries when you're vice president or when you're president. You have to be more selective in the people that you allow around you because it's not sending the best message. Again, I like JD. I would think that he is the front runner for 2028. But I've received a lot of messages from people who have said they don't want to contribute. They're not going to support because they don't like when he came here recently and he called Judea and Samaria the West Bank and said that they're not going to support letting Israel annex it.
Right.
So again.
Well, so did Trump.
Yeah, but the issue is we don't call it the West Bank.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, like there's years of foreign policy decisions, and even President Trump used the correct terminology. Mm-hmm. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He recognized Israel's control over the Golan Heights. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's about semantics as well, mm-hmm. and there's a lot of meaning in the words that we use, especially when you're in the Middle East, especially when you're talking about politics in the Middle East, and so. I think that, we need to have a conversation in the United States about all foreign aid. I don't think that the people who say that they want to cut off aid to Israel are anti-Semites. I don't. I think that some of them are, but mm-hmm. I don't think that saying that you want to reduce the amount of aid to Israel makes you an anti-Semite.
By the way, there are some Israelis. I think Michael Oren, who is an ambassador to the U.S., has been saying this for a while. And many people were saying, Israel's just, now war is a bit different, right? But we're a strong democracy.
Well, they need every country needs
right?
to learn how to be independent.
Exactly.
Because
so,
what happens
there are Israelis that say that.
What happens if we do get President Mamdani someday?
Oh my God!
And all aid is cut off.
You're killing me.
You cannot be fully dependent on the United States, and so I do think that Israel, as a way to kind of fix the image for themselves, and a way to show the world that they aren't just depending on the United States, even though we have this great relationship.
I missed a heartbeat there. With President Mamdani. I was like...
No, but think about it. If we ever have a President Mamdani, if we ever do have a President Mamdani, and with the rate of Islamification in America, it's very possible that we might. If we ever do have a President Mamdani, what's better? For Israel to learn how to survive without American aid? Or to be cut off cold turkey by a Muslim in the White House?
Yeah.
Wow. Obama threatened to cut off aid. He threatened to cut off aid to Israel if they continue to oppose the Iran deal. Okay, so you've had hostile administrations over and over again, and now it's a reality. I don't think that the Israelis do themselves any favors by expecting foreign aid. Mm-hmm. It's great if you're able to have a balance, right? I think that we are, $38 trillion in debt right now in the United States of America. We don't really have, whose money is this, right? We just keep on printing more money. Whose money is this that we're giving out for foreign aid? But I take issue with the obsession focused solely on Israel.
Because also this foreign aid...
We give so much aid to so many countries, right. And yet the only country that people want to talk about is Israel.
No, but also this aid...
And that's how you know that it's not just about Israel.
Also, basically, it gives America... access or whatever to a bunch of really good stuff.
But the messaging,
so it's not totally just giving out.
I agree. But
donations.
The Israeli government does a very bad job conveying this. If
we do a bad job in lots of.
If they want people
issues.
to understand that they're not like welfare queens, and I'm not calling the Israeli government a welfare state. But if they don't want this younger generation to view them as a hostile welfare state, needy, dependent, entitled, I'm not saying that is what they are, but that is the narrative coming out of a lot of this, propaganda against Israel. I think that Israel and the U.S. need to do a better job of explaining where the money's going. Israel purchases weapons from the United States. They share intelligence, right? We have the Iron Dome.
Are you optimistic?
Defense.
About America?
We're going to be building our Golden Dome off of a replica of the Iron Dome.
Yeah. Are you optimistic?
About what?
America.
Look, I don't think that we have 3.5 years left with Trump. I think we have 1 year because we have the midterms coming up. And everybody needs to understand that if Donald Trump does not, he's not at the top of the ticket. We just saw this last night. Donald Trump is not at the top of the ticket. The enthusiasm for the GOP that put Donald Trump back into the White House is because he was at the top of the ticket.
Right.
And so there needs to be America First candidates, MAGA candidates who are actually going to be talking about the issues at home. And candidates do talk about issues at home. But unfortunately, because there's so much hatred about Jews and Israel online right now, so many people have been spending their time talking nonstop about Israel. And that's my biggest concern, is that this issue now has become the main focal point of what people want to talk about. And they shouldn't. I mean, they really need to start redirecting their priorities.
How do you feel when people say you're extreme?
I don't care. I mean, look, I don't care what people say. Mamdani is extreme. Campaigning with supporters of the Holy Land Foundation terrorism trial and saying that they're great. Shout out to my homies in the Holy Land 5. I mean,
yeah,
these are convicted terrorists. That's extreme, okay? Going around saying 9/11 was done by some people who did something. That's extreme. Saying globalize the Intifada is extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Refusing to condemn Hamas and the IRGC and Hezbollah, that's extreme. So I don't really care. I don't care if people want to call me extreme. There's a reason why so many people hate Jews. There's a reason why.
Why is it?
And the reason is because, I hate to say it, a lot of Jews don't do themselves any favors when they sit back and they're worried about being liked instead of worrying about fighting for their own preservation. Look at how many Jews just voted for Mamdani. Why would you as a Jew vote for a Muslim?
I think it's interesting.
Why would any Jew vote for a Muslim?
So,
and I'm not just talking about radical Muslims. There's no such thing. And people, this is why they call me extreme, right? But I'm a realist. When you pray 5 times a day and you listen to the way that Muslims pray, they're praying to kill Jews. They're praying to kill Christians. They're praying to kill non-Muslims. Just listen to what they pray 5 times a day. Their prayers are not the prayers of Christians. Their prayers are not the prayers of Jews.
So I think it's interesting because, many American Jews or many Jews around the world have issue with the Israeli government now being in ties with right or far right, or however you want to call them, parties, okay, who are pro-Israel, anti-Muslim many times, or radical Islam. It really depends on the party, because some of the parties have actual, roots in the Nazi regime, etc. Some of them don't, and some of them actually spoke up and said, "We know our party made a huge mistake, and we regret it, and we want to change." And Israel doesn't have so many allies now, right? Like if Trump wasn't standing there, putting his finger in the barrel, I don't know what it would be, but we wouldn't
Israel
be.
Would probably, I hate to say it, they'd probably get wiped off the map.
Well,
because there were a lot of people on the right and the left who opposed the Operation Midnight Hammer.
Right.
I was in favor of it. I
Yeah.
think that,
so I'm saying
that's
it's
what we
interesting.
voted
So
for.
there's that complexity where, okay, Israelis want to think about Israel first or whatever, right?
But they
and
should.
Then,
Israel should be focused on Israel, and America should be focused on America. And that's the issue, is that...
So maybe the American Jew who lives in New York and thinks that Mamdani will get them better, better housing, cheaper transportation, not caring about foreign policy because it's New York. It's not,
Well, that all sounds great.
Good luck to you guys.
That sounds great, right? That sounds great. Lower cost, but hey, at the end of the day, he's a Muslim. He campaigned first as a Muslim, not as an American. He said that the Palestinian movement is what inspired him to get involved.
That's what got him
video.
into politics.
He said
yeah.
the Palestinian movement, the
BDS.
Palestinian fight, BDS, globalizing the Intifada is what got him into politics. So is he really being honest when he says, oh, he's focused on America? He's not focused on Israel. How can you say you're not focused on Israel and that you are so-called America first when all you do is criticize Israel? Mm-hmm. All you do is make the case for why people should support the Palestinians. This is what I'm talking about, though. It's very one-sided. You can say you're America first, like I say I'm America first, and you can support Israel and still be America first. But don't say that someone's not America first if they believe that Israel has a right to exist, if you're going to be campaigning and saying that you're only focused on American issues, but that you're going to be campaigning in support of Palestine, whatever that is, whatever Palestine is, right? I don't know. It's like a unicorn. It doesn't exist, right? But I'm still trying to figure out what Palestine is. But if you're one of these people that actually believes that Palestine is real, that there is a Palestinian state, ask yourself the same thing. Is that America first? Are you being America first? Do you want to criticize the Jews for wanting to support Israel?
I interviewed him a few days ago, and I asked him about, because there were talks before ending the war or whatever, so there were talks about potentially having sovereignty or annexation, however you want to look at it, of Judea and Samaria. And I asked him about that, and he said it's a big mistake. President Trump said so. The only solution is a two-state solution. Not now. The Palestinians will have to prove A, B, C, D, whatever. But that's the only solution. And I was super surprised to hear Lindsey Graham, who's such a supporter of Israel, say that, from the right. Supportive of Israel on the left.
Well, I think a lot of people on the right are starting to read the room, and that there is a lot of hostility towards Israel, and the Palestinian movement obviously is
strong
away.
And
it's not going
influential.
away.
Yeah,
it's strong, it's influential, but at the same time, let's be real. The Palestinians want a one-state solution. They don't want a two-state solution. Mm-hmm. Read the Hamas charter. The entire charter is based off of the eradication of Israel and Jews.
Everyone was like, why are you surprised on October 7th? They've been saying it.
Palestine will be free. That is a call for a one-state solution.
Yeah.
That is a call for a final solution. Their final solution is a one-state solution.
On that optimistic note.
So I think it's hypocritical. And that's how I take offense. I don't think that this is just about criticizing Israel. It really is rooted in a hatred of Jewish people. Because if you really believe what you're saying, the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owens and, whoever it may be, right? Tucker Carlson. Mm-hmm. If you really believe in what you're saying, then you should not be supporting the Palestinian movement either.
Right. 100%. 100%. So on that very positive note, Laura, we have to end, unfortunately. I could keep on with this conversation for hours, but you hiked Masada this morning.
I did.
So you may want to go rest or whatever.
I hiked Masada.
Even though I think you have lots of energy.
I have lots of energy. I'm a little jet lagged.
Okay.
I've been in Israel for 3 days, and I probably slept 5 hours. And
wow.
Because I've just been going to meetings nonstop. And I hiked Masada this morning. I watched the sunrise. It was beautiful, but it's also been alarming because it's election season. I came to Israel during the elections for the U.S., and so I've had to stay awake late at night to monitor the polls and monitor all of the election results. But it's great to be here, and I hope that Israel can find a way to improve their messaging. I do. I think that there is a massive messaging crisis because there is a way for Israel and the United States to have a cohesive relationship, to be allies, to reduce the rise of Jew hatred, to combat Islamic terrorism. But I think they need to do a better job of letting people know what this symbiotic relationship is.
Yeah.
It's not a take relationship. Israel does a lot of good. I'm very grateful as an American that Israel serves as a wall of defense for jihad in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Penetrating the West and 100%. Penetrating America. And so I'm grateful. I understand this.
Yeah.
As a Zionist Jew, I understand what Israel does for America, and I'm grateful. But there's a messaging crisis. Mm. And paying influencers to go tweet for you isn't going to solve the issue.
That's not gonna solve.
I mean, I don't get paid by Israel. I've never taken money from Israel. And every single time I post anything, I'm wondering where I'm going to pick up my $7,000. It's $7,000 a post. Every time I log online, I'm bombarded with this, right? Yeah. There's people that think that I got my Pentagon press credentials because I came to Israel. There's a whole conspiracy theory online.
Now we can tell everybody.
And so that's my point is that
I was the one that got you in.
Right, exactly.
I'm a Mossad agent.
You're a Mossad.
I gave you the
You're
credentials. Exactly.
Yep, and when I leave this interview, I'm going to go pick up my, we got to calculate all my tweets that I've done, right? 7,000 per tweet. So
okay, that's nice.
I hope you've got millions of dollars to give me today.
Of course. It's lying on the ground.
Laura, and I'm not going to register with FARA because I'm a subversive Jew.
Okay. Dual
I'm a
loyalty.
Subversive Jew. I have dual loyalty. But this is what I'm saying, though. We laugh about it. And all you can really do is laugh about it. But this is a problem. It's a problem that there are people that I've known for years. It's a problem that Tucker Carlson, who is considered a mainstream, respected right-wing voice, is on his show saying, Laura Loomer's not loyal to America. She shouldn't be allowed in the Pentagon because, he doesn't want to say it, but he essentially wants to say it because I'm Jewish.
He's very loyal.
Because I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
And Jewish Americans are going to have, not everybody can make Aliyah. Not everybody wants to make Aliyah.
Okay.
Not everybody should
Legit.
make Aliyah.
Right?
Jews should be allowed to live in America. Jews should be allowed to live in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Jews shouldn't have to be forced into moving to Israel. And I don't think America is going to be a
most
place
of the immigration
for Jews to live.
waves to Israel were because they were fleeing. We were fleeing.
But that's my point.
Yeah?
There's now a lot of discussion about what life for Jews in America is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never thought that it would be like that in my own country. But it's really honestly accelerated to a point that I've never seen before.
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with foreign influence operations, bot campaigns, but it also has a lot to do with the messaging.
Yeah.
And we need to show people that you can be America first and still support Israel's right to exist. We need to show people that globalism is not Zionism, that Zionism is not some kind of evil boogeyman ideology. Zionism is the belief that Israel has a right to exist. And if you're a Christian,
You should believe
that Israel has a right to
Black
exist.
and white in the Bible.
It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's in the Bible. And so that's the kind of messaging that I would like to see come out of Israel, because I really am rooting for Israel. It's very sad for me. It's been very depressing, honestly. It's been very
Lonely.
very sad. I'm not Israeli, but I'm very sad for the Jewish people, and I'm sad for the Israeli people, especially after watching so many people I've known for years divulge into insane conspiracy theories about how October 7th was an inside job and, there's no evidence of rape. Like, I've seen the photos myself. I've seen the evidence myself. It was not an inside job. Oh, Israel killed Charlie Kirk. I mean, they want to blame the Jews for everything. If I walk outside and my dog takes a crap and he's got diarrhea, it's like, blame the Jews, you know? No, but really, that's where we're at. Every time I log online, it's just a bunch of people saying Christ is king and the Jews are the Jews. You want to be a Christian, go be a Christian. You want to be an atheist, go be an atheist. You want to be a Jew, go be a Jew. But where and when did we get to this point where people are just trying to completely dehumanize the Jewish people and make it seem like a people that has been a part of American history, the fabric of our country since its founding?
Yeah.
They deny it. They say that America is a Christian country, which it is, but they deny the significance of the Jewish people and the contribution of Jews to America in the Revolutionary War. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jews made sacrifices, believe it or not. Yeah. So I am hoping to come back to Israel more often.
Yeah, come visit.
American. I want to be able to come. I want to help.
You could be America first.
I'm not a lobbyist.
Israel second.
I'm not a lobbyist,
okay.
But I would like to help the Jewish people in Israel message better.
Okay.
Because otherwise, the relationship between Israel and the United States of America, I worry, is going to be completely ruined forever.
So before I get like really depressed, because I'm already depressed.
I mean, I've been very depressed all week too.
Okay.
It's very sad.
So,
I call it a digital pogrom. You don't have to just be Israeli to be upset. It's very, very troubling to see. I mean, a man was just arrested in Florida or in Texas and extradited to Florida 2 weeks ago for trying to kill me. Yeah. Because he was brainwashed into thinking that I am an Israeli foreign agent.
Yeah.
So it's upsetting to me knowing that I have to have increased security now, right? Because of people that want to kill me because I'm Jewish. It's sad that our country is being Islamified and that jihadists and Hamas supporters are becoming the mayor of the largest city in America. But it's also sad that there are so many people out there now who have such negative views of Jewish people.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. But it is very important for those who are trying their best to advocate for Israel to understand how their actions might be perceived in the current political climate in America.
Okay. So, Laura, thank you so much. And next time you come, you should come visit.
Yeah, I will come. I'm going to visit again. I'm going to come more often. And I really appreciate you sitting down with me. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode was hosted by JPO's editor-in-chief, Zvika Klein. Editing and production were done by Schiffer Jacobs.